Hello, I'm Andy King, and we have been running in the last 2 weeks a competition to win our T12 and T14 routers. So we've had some great tips in. I've had the task of running through these, getting down to a short list, which we're going to run through now, and at the end we will be announcing the 2 winners. So without further ado, what we need to do before we start is a couple of little tips. Obviously, don't forget PPE at all times when necessary. Another little tip, which I always love, nice sharp pencil, 2H, always great when you're doing marking out. Simple, but effective. And another one which I always like as well is, if you look, when you're doing any complex sort of structures, things like that, I love doing a setting out board. Best thing ever. So that's a couple of little tips just to get the ball rolling. Without further ado, let's get straight into these tips. So our first tip comes in from Michael McNeilis. Now his tip is to cut a full length spacer, which corresponds to the head of the door, exactly the same width as the head. And you stick it into the bottom with pocket hole screws, screw it straight into either side. And basically what that's doing is setting the correct width of your door lining. So then all you need to do, put your packers in, get it all level and plumb. And as you're working way through, you just put your screws in and it's set. You take your board back out and that's it, the bottom's set already. Now, what that means is, well, you can actually move this back up through the lining and use it to set the spacers out for the other ones to give you a correct set. Days of old, you used to use an old batten like this, and what you'd normally do is tag it on the bottom here. Sometimes you put another one on this side as well. Whitewood door frames are notorious for twisting on this bottom part, so this is why this works so well, because you use a perfect square line here, and it keeps everything nice and square into the opening. Great tip. So this next tip comes in from Terence Badham. This is when you're setting up to hang a door, what you can do into an old lining is his tip, is you use battens, you make a framework, and you basically sit one right tight to either side, on the bottom as well, and tight from the floor to the head of the lining. Screw it all together, and that basically becomes your template. To take it out, you drop it onto your door, you mark round, allow for your clearances, plane your door to that size or cut to that size, and then your door should be a perfect fit. A couple of little things to be aware of here. Obviously, you've got 4 pieces of wood, and they can start racking like that when they're out. So traditionally, you put a brace across, but if you just put 2 screws in each side, that's normally good enough just to take the rack out. The other thing to be aware of is, obviously into old door linings, this is a new one we set up just to show the principle. Back's nice and straight because this is our hanging side, but on this side we've got a little belly here. So that means that when you put your batten in, you haven't accounted for this. So you may end up having to shoot the battens in as well. Just a little thing to be aware of. Other than that, good tip. Okay, so this tip comes in from Wayne Blythe. This is all about when you're doing either scribes or you're using templates or anything like that. Double-sided tape is a great thing to use, but it's notorious for hard to get the pieces apart after. So the tip is masking tape and super glue. Simple as, all you need to do is a piece of masking tape, that goes on there. What will then be your scribing piece in this particular instance. And then it's just a matter of glue and use your activator on the other piece. Hold it in position. Let's give it a push. Let the glue go off. And that's it, held exactly where you need it. Then you can make your scribe. Simple as that. What it means then is, as soon as you've done your mark, pull it apart. And because it's paper to paper, it splits on that part. Very easy to come apart. Then you just peel away your masking tape. Simple as that. Pull the tape off. As you can see, it's left no residue, no double-sided tape to try and contend with, perfectly clean, away you go. This tip's come in from David Buckley, and a tip on getting the nice cleanest edge you can up against what would be your wall or wherever you're trying to scribe to. So the idea being is you set your position and you make your scribe, and then once you've got that position set, then you move on to actually cutting the scribe, which is where the tip comes in. So to make this cut, we're going to use one of our Trend JB-T101BR down cutting blades. And this blade is ideal for this sort of work, but don't forget when using down cut blades, switch the pendulum off. So the tip is to set the blade on an angle, which gives you an undercut when you make your cut. What that means is you're undercutting like this, which gives you a nice sharp edge. The tip was around about 30 degrees. That's probably a little bit too much really. I think anything about 10 to 15 degrees is more than enough. All you're looking to do is just get that nice crisp front edge. And what you're looking to do is just leave the line in, maybe keep about 1 millimetre to clean up last minute, just to take out any slight discrepancies. So now I've used my plane and my sandpaper just to get that line perfectly crisp and clean, and now it's good to go. So your panel now will just fit straight into your opening. Because of the undercut, you can see now that it allows you to just ease in that last little bit to give you a beautifully crisp, clean line. This tip comes in from Frank Owen, who spotted this when he was visiting a boatyard. Basically trying to clean up the edges of things like melamine chipboard, where it's notorious for chipping on the edges. They were using a batten simply by pushing it down onto the material, clamping off, and using a trim router to clean it up. We've got a better solution with our Very jigs. They do exactly the same job, but do it much quicker and easier, and we'll show you this now. Very simple to use, into position like so, clamp off, and away you go, ready to cut. And this is where the Trend cordless router comes into its own. It's ideal for this sort of work. I'll just get my PPE on, and then we'll make the cut. So there you go, as quick and easy as that. Perfect. This tip's come in from Mark Brownlee. It's all about door hanging. So he's recommended doing what would be an undercut on the hanging side and also on what would be the closing side. It allows the leading edge to come in without clipping. It also allows the hanging side to come in without binding. Right, so let's get our door into position. We're going to use our door stand for this. Make sure it's nice and secure. So this is how you would normally do it with a hand plane, and you'll be looking to just put the plane on a tilt slightly and just run it through. Takes a number of passes to do so. Of course, Trend are all about time-saving solutions. We've got the perfect cutter to do this in seconds. And this is our door leading edge cutter. It's designed to give you a perfect leading edge when you are fitting any doors. There we go, the perfect undercut. Fits every time, fantastic. This tip's come in from Nathan Holly, I think it could be. Apologies if I've got your name wrong, but let's have a quick look at this tip. The idea is to use a stubby auger, which means you can take it in or out the chuck accordingly, using your latch or lock as your template. Set it up so that the back of the lock or latch is hitting what will be the chuck, and the front end gives you just enough depth to give you clearance on the bottom. Basically, when you drill it out then, it bottoms out on the chuck. Can't go any deeper, you can't over drill the hole. So we've just secured our door with our door clamp. Another Trend time-saving solution. Allows you to keep it nice and rigid while we move into drilling the lock. So be aware now, as you start going beyond the flute, it will start bogging down inside the hole, which means you need to pull the drill back out just to clear the flute. As you can see, perfect depth. And as a follow-up tip from Nathan, use your combination square to find the centre of your spindle off of the face of the latch, and then transfer to your door. Okay, so that concludes the tips we were sent in. We'd like to say thanks to everybody who sent tips in. Obviously, we didn't show all of them, just a few that we thought were well worth a look. And don't forget, it's all about the right tool for the job. And of course, Trend have all those solutions for you. Don't forget also your PPE, stay safe at all times. And also keep your cutters nice and sharp. If you use blunt ones, you're going to damage yourself and also your workpiece as well. And now, of course, the most important thing. Let's get on to those winners. So the winner of week 1, which is our T12 and lock jig, is Mark Brownlee. Congratulations, Mark. And you're going to enjoy the benefits of your router with its precision guide bush alignment. There's also the one-touch plunge lock override system. And then let's not forget the ergonomic handle with its safety isolation feature. It's a fantastic router, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. And our week 2 winner of the T14 and the WRT router table is David Buckley. Congratulations. And you'll be enjoying the benefits of your router in its table, which gives you the quick razor function. Then there's also the 86mm maximum cutter diameter, and not to forget the router table safety switch. Again, another fantastic prize. Hope you enjoy using it. So that concludes our competition. I'd like to thank everybody who entered, and of course, congratulations to our 2 winners, Mark and David. Hope you enjoy your prizes. See you next time.